I know I days and 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 days.
What's good, my bro?
What's up, man? How you feel, Joel? It's good. It's good seeing you again, man.
Same here, my brother.
Without a doubt, man.
Today, thank you for tuning in. We got my main man right here, Castell Barnes, three-time author, entrepreneur, speaker.
Thank you for having me, man.
Major successful person. Watch out, 40 under 40.
Let's do it.
Watch out, Forbes. Watch out, everything.
Everything.
New York Times. What are we doing?
Everything, man. Everything. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So. You know, this podcast is about entrepreneurship, investing, and personal development.
Let's do it. My favorite topics, man. Let's do it.
You already know we got your new book out.
That's
right
the plug
here.
right there, man. That's the plug. And I want to say thank you for getting it. You know, I always appreciate your support. This was big for me, you know, this being my third book. For those of you who don't have it yet, I would love to introduce it. It's called Sloth 30, The Makings of an Early Bird Night Owl. And the whole intention behind this was 30, the number 30, the age 30. You know, when it comes to today's generation, everyone feels they may need to have the world in their hands and everything accomplished by 30. It's like this pivotal age. For men, it's like I need to be super successful. For women, I need to be married, have kids. So this is the book for the person who might not have everything or beyond 30 as well. It's very practical. You can write in it and it gives you steps on how to be successful by 30 or before and after. So I wanted to do a tool book because this year I turned 30, so it made a lot of sense too. Yep.
Yeah, I'm on my way to 30. I'm not there yet. But I think even a lot of my friends are 30 at this point. I'm 27, for any of you who may not already know that.
I can tell you that.
Yeah, what? Yeah. We was talking about this earlier. What are you talking about?
Message.
And it's crazy because my boy who I interviewed a few days ago, he's 20.
Wow. Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so it's like that 20, 30.
In between, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope.
both entrepreneurs making that money. So it's very interesting, that dynamic. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, let's go into this. Co-founder of Greater Management. I know you just recently launched this. Speak to us more about this.
So Greater Management is a management consultancy agency that my partner and I, Jess, who's the love of my life, of course, we started a business. My background was an image consultant. Jess's background was in entertainment, entrepreneurship, radio production. So we came together, and what we do is we focus on branding, speaking, and investing partnerships. So some of our clients include LinkedIn, the Brooklyn Nets, Sonesta Hotels, the Ridge Hotel, very heavy in not only the digital space, but hospitality as well, and CPG, so like consumer packaged goods and beauty products as well. So it's been going well. We started in October, and it's just been nonstop for us. We've done coverage for the Women's International Film Festival, the International Beauty Show. So yeah, hit us up. Like anything from content creation to digital marketing to image consulting, all the way to like the investing side when it comes to startups and real estate and speaking as well. Keynotes and education workshops and hosting, we're there for sure. It's been fun. It's been super fun.
That's a lot of accomplishments within a few months.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. It's love.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now. What some of your background looks like. So
my background is very unconventional. It's not like nuclear, right? Like the perfect background. Inner city New York kid. Was born in Queensbridge, the projects, and then moved to Harlem, like old Harlem, for 11 years. And then I was in the foster care system and then made my way up to the North Bronx. So I experienced every borough, like even Staten Island. Like I lived on Staten Island before too, as a kid with my mom just bouncing around. So from there, and when I was in care, I understood that I wanted control over my life and destiny, because when you're in care, it's a lot of restrictions, right? And you're kind of walking in eggshells, hopping from house to house. So did very good in school. Like I was always good in school. Ended up going to LaGuardia and then Baruch. Went into Baruch for the operations management class and then switched over to finance. Hated both. I like looking at things from the top down, right? I'm a holistic type of person. If I don't know accountancy or finance, I could hire someone or know it on the very basic level and still get by, and majored in entrepreneurship. And I just love ownership. Like, I'm big on ownership, right? And entrepreneurship was super attractive even to this day. So I was in it before it was cool. Like 10 years ago, before entrepreneurship became a buzzword, like I was majoring in it. I had my first business. So this happens to be like my 5th business, right? And now all of those failures, all the lessons I've learned from there has led me up to the successes we have with our current business.
Okay. We're going to cover a range of topics today.
Yep.
But something that just stood out to me was being in the foster care system.
Yep.
Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure, maybe not most people are in that situation, but I know some are.
Yes.
And how impactful that is for those people.
So I had, from what you hear, statistics, usually people in foster care system, you go back after a couple of years if your parents get back on their feet or a guardian. But it's usually, we hear about the negative stories of foster care, right? We hear the person that failed out of school end up in jail, because usually there's some resentment against being in it, right? So I had a good experience by going to a family, it's my first time in the house, shoveling, raking. So anybody that's in foster care currently on your past, just understand if it was a bad experience now or, in the past, it doesn't determine your future. So what it did for me was it gave me independence and said, this is a standard that I'm going to have for my life going forward, right? Like, I'm going to make sure, I'm a dad, make sure I'm present, make sure everything is good on that end, but also make sure that I have control of my destiny, right? Because I feel the man upstairs and God gives us the abilities, but it's up to us to execute on those, right? So the destiny is in our hands. So yeah, that's what it did for me. And it taught me survival too. It taught me how to be in different situations and be sound and be political. It taught me a lot of different things that people don't usually take from a bad situation, but it taught me how to survive.
Okay.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah, because I'm sure maybe even if there's a handful of people out there who are in the system who have been, like, I'm sure they're looking at you right now as an example of like, oh,
that's
like,
a fact.
if he could do it, I could do it.
Yo, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible, man.
Okay, that's dope. That's very interesting. Let's go into. You say you've had 10 years in the entrepreneurial space.
Yes.
What does that look like? What type of obstacles, maybe key golden nuggets that you've picked up along the way? Mm-hmm. And even in addition to that, just maybe even more technical,
practical things
for somebody who may be starting off or wanting to learn more about how to get into this entrepreneurial.
Perfect. So there's levels to entrepreneurship, right? There's part-time entrepreneurship and there's full-time entrepreneurship. So the first 7 years of my entrepreneurial journey was part-time, right? I've only been a full-time entrepreneur since 2017, right? So while I was starting in entrepreneurship, I was also working in high-end retail. I was also working on Wall Street and, sponsorship sales, negotiations, high-end customer service, right? Which are all skill sets in entrepreneurship. You got to have tough skin. You got to be KPI, which is like key indicators, like goals, performance indicators, which is good for entrepreneurship, right? So that journey, I was doing it part-time. What I wish I would have learned was I wish I would have started reading earlier in my career. And because I was in college, I didn't want to read other books outside of college. So for anybody that's starting up as an entrepreneur, find experts in your space or in your industry and learn from them. If they can't be a direct mentor, pick up their books. Learn about the OGs in the space, right? Like me, when it comes to, because we're in branding and marketing and speaking, so I got all of Tony Robbins' books. I got all of Les Brown's books. When it comes to marketing, Malcolm Gladwell is amazing with that, Outliers and the Tipping Point and how to start epidemics and build momentum. I have a lot of the Purple Cow and every marketing book, even network marketing too. A lot of people shun pyramid scheme, network marketing, but it's a lot of people who build businesses off of just networking and building teams that you can learn from as well. So I would say getting started, don't procrastinate. The first step is the first step. Very simple. and it's okay to fail. You know, like failure is okay in entrepreneurship, and try different things and focus on monetizing your skill set, right? It's okay, entrepreneurship, I'm creative, I'm going to try something new, but have targets and have intention to make money as much as you want to change the world. If you're a social entrepreneur or if you're straight for profit, let the intention be to make money, right? It's supposed to be an alternative to you being an employee, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spoke about network marketing there. So me and my boy who we interviewed, Stefan, shout out to Stefan.
Shout out to Stefan.
We were speaking about network marketing and how I know we were in network marketing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because we was talking about how that builds up your sales skills.
Yep.
His philosophy is like, if you're young, the first thing you should do is do network marketing because it builds your social skills, those entrepreneurial visions.
Yep.
So being in network marketing, that actually opened me up to the world of entrepreneurship and instilled in me those values.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, network marketing, I feel some people in it could kind of mess it up, right, for certain reasons. But I feel it's an amazing vehicle if you're in love with the product too, right? Like, I was a part of 3 different network marketing organizations, and you know, the third one did well, but network marketing is really a training ground as well, right? Or some people have all or nothing. So what it did for me, and this is my personal statement, it opened me up. I didn't start reading, like become an avid reader until I was in network marketing, right? I didn't fall in love with travel until I was in network marketing, right? So it opened me up, right? So the structure is commission only. You're an independent contractor. It's the same thing like real estate. You understand? Like, if you don't put in the work, like entrepreneurship, like everything else in life, you won't get paid, right? So I don't shun the network marketing industry. You know, Robert Kiyosaki, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, they all endorse the industry. So listen to the people that's really doing it. But if it's something where you fall out, just use it for the people. It'll teach you how to network, how to build sales, deal with rejection, and if you fall in love with the product and the lifestyle of what you're selling, it can reap a lot of benefit. So what it did for me, it was a training ground before I became an entrepreneur, focused on my own thing and my own passions, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pro it. Like, if you're in it, like, just go hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a lot of positives to it.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that maybe turns a lot of people off is the odds of you becoming successful in network marketing are like really slim. But then again, like if you have a dream, you know,
it's like entrepreneurship. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely.
It's like, okay, 5% of the people that sign up is going to be successful, or 0.01 or 1%. That's like anything else you do, right? And it's like, is this going to be my vehicle, right? And like I said, it could be a training ground, or it could be an end all to be all, and you become super, super successful. Anything you do in life, you might fail, right? Like, that's just how it is, right? So, yeah, don't shy away from it, or just use it for what it is.
Yeah, and there's a value of trying various different things in order to find out what you're really good at, what those key skill sets are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, no. Anything that opens people up, you know, to maximizing who they are or their skill sets, I'm for it. But I feel what you learn in pure entrepreneurship, what you learn in a sales role, working 9 to 5 as well, or a leadership role, or even in network marketing, is sales and communication and branding. It translates to everything else in this world, and personal development, right? So, you know, just because it didn't work for somebody else, people say the same thing about entrepreneurship. People say the same thing about a 9 to 5. People say the same thing about network marketing. Just because it didn't work for them doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. So take away any experience and just run with it. Yeah.
So speaking of experiences, running with it, obviously you started 3 books already. Shout out to Slav 30, already know, plugging it into
This is beautiful, man.
Yeah, so like, little story about myself. I actually ended up dropping out of high school, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason I dropped out of high school.
Why'd you drop out?
Well, number one, I really didn't value education at the time. I'm like
formal education.
Okay. Or even because at the time I didn't know about it, so I'm just thinking, you know, broadly, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I'm like, this is a waste of time, et cetera. Like, I'm just coming here. I don't know. Yeah. But eventually, I wanted to write a book. I was like, I want to become an author. I'm gonna write a book. So I actually wrote a book.
Did you publish it?
No. So now
you got to talk to me.
So
bro.
now check this out. So it was like a book about my life.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like I was just going ham with the writing. So, and I'm like probably like 16, right? Writing a whole book. So I got probably like 45 pages in. But then, and so I actually ended up going to DR too.
Okay.
After I dropped out of high school.
Dominican Republic, for the people. República Dominicana. DR.
Yeah, aka Plátano en Mangú.
Oh.
Con salchichón, you know what I'm saying? Oh, los tres golpes. Let me stop. Bachata. Let me stop. Merengue. Let me stop. All right, I'm done.
Yeah. It's your country.
But, so I was like, I told my mother, I'm like, yo, mom, like, what do you think? Like, this book is mad short, though. She was like, you know what? Put this off. Wait till you get a little older, then come back to it.
How old were you? Like,
I was like 16. So that was like 10 years ago at this point. And like writing, I've always identified writing as one of my key skill sets, actually, right? You know, I guess maybe I should get around back to it and maybe publish that book. I think you'll probably,
not maybe, you will.
Okay, my fault.
Yeah. You know, like it's, I mean, language is important, you know, and my dad, it's funny, before he passed, like he used to say things that stuck to me. Two things he said, which was more cultural, was if you wanted to keep something from the N-word, you know, the N-word, that's derogatory to describe, you know, people who oppress and say racist things to black people, you put it in a book. So that opened me up to always being intelligent and writing and reading, right? And number two, he said, no one will really think you're an expert or like smart until you write a book, right? Like you can have all the experience, but if I can't multiply that in something tangible, like what is it really doing? Like 15 years working at the best university in a country does nothing for the masses unless you multiply it and write it in a book and have thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands of people writing it. You know, it's a global mindset. So you got to understand that, you know, your story is his story, right? So you put your story out, you know, and what a lot of people would do, because I'm pretty sure your mom is loving or amazing, is like we would put restrictions on success or when things should come out. Like you had a 20-year-old on the show that's making six figures, right? Like six figures is usually reserved for somebody older, right? So 10 years later, okay, now you have the experience, get it out. You understand? Like, your story is authentic. You never know who can relate to it.
Right, you're inspiring me right now, bro. On camera, live.
Didn't I tell you to come to me to get your book out? We talked about it. Nah, I'm messing with you.
But, all right, so let's lead into that, into, like, what was your process? Because you already wrote 3 books, right?
Yeah.
What's that process like?
Okay.
What's that process like from writing it, you know, the ideas pouring out? I know some people have mental, writer's block.
Yeah.
Then what's let's say you have everything written. How's the editing phase like?
Right. Okay.
What is the publishing like, marketing like, for all of that? Yeah.
Yeah, so in my case, the first one is, what channel am I going to get it out? Right? So I'm thinking kind of from the end backwards, right? So I'm thinking distribution and marketing first, and then I'm moving back into the organics, because I know we could all write and find time to write. First thing to get over getting your book out, write the book that you would write to yourself. Because your audience, your core audience, when you first get out, is usually going to be people that's following you on social media or people that can relate to you directly, right? Like Michelle Obama does a book, 80-90% of the people that buy a book is going to be women, right? Like, because they can relate, right? Mm-hmm. So to get over the anxiety or the confidence to even write the book, because you got to get to writing the book. Just write the book you will write to yourself, like manual. My first book, Guidance, which did well, was 33 things or areas of importance that I used from the projects to Wall Street. I was writing the book that I've used for myself. Passion, legacy, music. Like, it was organic. Like, it was literally like me journaling, right? I think people overthink it, and they're like, who's going to just get it out first? You never know until you get it out, right? So, number 2, after that was the mechanics, right? So, like, the cover design. So, these are like straight up tips. Like, the first thing, just pull out a notepad and write the book you will write to yourself. Then it's organization, right? Name chapters. If you need an editor, hire an editor. Go to Fiverr. You could go to, your local college, your library. There's usually people who major in English or literature professors that will help you edit your book, right? For free or for the low, right? So that's the editing process. Now it's design. You could go on YouTube and learn how to, I designed this cover, myself. It's nice, right? I took the time, I invested 3-4 hours a day to learn how to edit, right? And self-publishing. So anything that comes with self-production, self-development, self-care is easy because you could learn it by yourself. So my first 2 books, I use a platform called CreateSpace, which was powered by Amazon, which is digital. They give you every step by step, right? It'll help you. CreateSpace.com. And now they got converted over to Amazon KDP, which is the Kindle digital publisher. So that gets you on Amazon.com, which is the largest, right? And then Barnes & Noble now has their press side, where you could do the same thing. So everything step by step is just that willingness to get it up, right? So now you got over writer's block, you got over confidence. Now you're writing a story to yourself. You got past editing. These are practical. You got past editing. You got hire somebody to either design your cover or go on YouTube and learn, right? To get it out, you find you a self-publisher. Or if you got a big buzz, you could go to a publisher house and hopefully, God, they pick you. But this is a self-publishing route because this is what I've used. After that, what you do is now is marketing. Now you go on different podcasts and shows to market it, or in your speaker events you buy, and it comes wholesale. Usually for the market it'll be whatever set price. You set your prices, $14.99, $17.95, but you get wholesale prices. So you would get them for $2.50 a pop as a wholesaler, and you could sell them like that. So you could buy 100 books for $300 with shipping, right? After you do that, social media. Very, very simple. Digital marketing, parts of digital marketing, not only SEO or SEM, use social media. It's free. Or invest a couple of $100 a month into Facebook ads. Right? Very simple. And once you build that buzz and stay consistent, you'll find wow, I've sold 10,000 copies. Wow. So that's very, very practical steps. Write the book you will write to yourself. Hire somebody to edit it, help you edit, or if you have the knowledge already, edit it yourself. Hire somebody to create the cover, or you learn how to create the cover, and then use a self-publisher, and then use social media to market it. Boom. Simple steps.
Boom, bang, bang.
That's very, very simple. Very, very simple. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yo, it's love. It's love, man.
Yeah, I'm totally inspired right now.
Yo, it's love.
Because I've totally, honestly, I forgot about that.
Yo, you have the power. You have the power.
I completely forgot about that. That was laying somewhere in my Google Drive, or Dropbox, because probably people not even using Google Drive back then. But I know I got it somewhere.
Yeah, you got it, bro. You
dust off, dust that off. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you really, the story's still relevant. 45 pages. The average book is 100. You can write another 45 pages on top of that. You're good.
Yeah, you're right.
For sure.
Branding and marketing, you just obviously being successful at just about anything business related, whether it's a book, a business, even career wise.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of branding and marketing involved in that, right?
Yep.
What are your thoughts on branding and marketing just in today's age?
I mean, you do see nuances. You do see things that's whoa, what's going on? So my advice to anybody that's branded, and let's just say this is entrepreneurship. This show is based on entrepreneurship or wanting better in life or how to be a better person, self-development, because everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, right? So you have to make sure in this day and age of online digital media and social media, right, which is pretty much digital spaces online to interact with people, you have to make sure that your image, right, whatever you put out across LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, is pretty much reflects the same thing, right? So, and another thing as well, you have to be the same in real life, what you're putting out, because now people on social media are getting very savvy right? And there's going to be opportunities where you're going to meet people in person in digital spaces. I feel social media is not only to be social, right, engage with your people, but it's a medium to meet people in real life, right? Or have people come out or convert and buy or hear you speak or just do things like this.
Or hire you.
Or hire you as well.
Yeah,
So
you know what I'm saying?
branding has to be very, very cohesive to who you are in real life, because that could throw people off. If you're like this brainiac online and then we meet you, you can't answer a question. It's like, what are you doing? Or if we meet and you're like, oh, entrepreneur, you're saying you're worth $1 billion and we meet you and you're not. Like, so make sure your branding is cohesive with who you are in real life, right? There's transparencies, but it needs to be polished. Like, branding is polished. You know, you don't necessarily have, like, this is how I brush my teeth. Look at my cavity. Like, especially when you're building a business, it needs to be relatable, transparent, and very creative. And outside of branding, make sure you work on your business, right? Because there's a lot of people who work on branding and social media algorithm, but then their business is suffering because they're not working on making money, you know, or really making sure everything's good with their business. You need something to brand. And if your products suck and your website suck, it'll catch up to you. You know, like if you're putting out, oh, I'm the man, I'm the best, this is the best book ever in your life, and then you read it and it got errors and it's trash, it's like, okay, and then it hurts you in the long run, right? So make sure your branding is cohesive with who you are in real life. Make sure it's relatable, it's transparent, but also make sure it's a direct reflection of where your business is at that current time, right? So, you know, a lot of people say fake it till you make it. Like, people could see through this nowadays. Like, it's just... It ain't like we in little pods and the only thing we reading is the newspaper, listen to the radio. Like, no, people can start to see who you are after a while without even meeting you.
I think that,
you know,
and it's something that I feel like I've realized within the past year.
Absolutely.
That vulnerability and authenticity is selling.
Oh, man.
You know, like hard.
That's it. That's it. And people see through it now, because now people are able to get access to so much things. Like, people could see through it, like, you're not really like that, right? And then sometime, yeah, it might not be us, it might be other people, but at the flip side, if you're noticing a pattern in your life in this social age, it's something's happening. Like, people's picking up on something that they can't relate to, and it's turning people off. Like, before it was just like the newspaper. Whatever you tell me, I'm gonna think it's true. But now people are looking like, wait, look at your engagement. Like, look at your social. Like, wait, hold on. Like, you saying you a boss on one platform, and then I follow you on LinkedIn, and you like the bottom person, you know? So it's important that you are who you are across all mediums, for sure.
Yeah. What would you say to, let's say, a person who may not be so active on social media,
right,
may not feel comfortable sharing sharing about their personal lives, not putting themselves out there like that, maybe more reserved? What would you say to like that type of audience out there, especially like if they're trying to make a business happen or get to the next level in their career or something like that?
Hire you a PR agent.
Hire you a PR
agent. Get you a publicist or somebody that can position you, but you need marketing for a business. You're going to either have to pay for it or you're going to have to build it through free mediums, right? And somebody that's reserved, like, there's a lot of introverted, reserved people. But digital marketing is so necessary nowadays that if you're like, people are going to social media, Instagram before your website. Like, companies are really doing that now. Like, I'm going to your social media. I'm going to LinkedIn before I go to your website. Like, when I meet somebody, if I connect with somebody on LinkedIn, or vice versa, LinkedIn or Instagram, like, connect with somebody on Instagram, I'm going straight to their LinkedIn. Because I need to know that you are who you say you are. So if you're trying to build business, if you're not in social media, if you don't have a grip on your identity in social media, you're going to lose. Like, that's just what it is, unless you have access or a friend at these big publications that's giving you publicity. But everything is about attention and getting out there and marketing. That's what it's about. And a lot of people shine away from social media, and it's crippling their business, because we sit down with clients and they're like, yo, we just can't get a grip on this social media thing. They got this love-hate with social media. Like, that's not what it's for. I love social media. I get access to information that I never had before. like cultural things too, like about me as my culture and roots. I'm like, man, I don't have books on this, right? I'm getting, and then I'm fact checking. So for the person that's reserved, if you don't like social media, you can hire a company like us, right? At Greater Management, we do branding, we do all of that, image consultant, and we'll position you where you don't necessarily have to be at the forefront. Maybe you need a script or direction or treatment, or if you don't want to do that, you're gonna need to like be out there and meeting people at 1,000 conferences, because social media lets you amplify yourself. Like I could put something out and then 5,000 people will see it, right? While I'm just sitting in the house, just chilling, you know. So you need social media.
Yeah.
You need it to promote your business. Like you don't need it as like a drug. Like, oh, I need it. But if you're not online, if you don't have a digital presence, you're gonna lose. That's a fact.
This is true. and so even talking about, let's talk about strategy when it comes to marketing and branding.
Yeah.
Like positioning yourself in the marketplace.
Great.
Right? Like,
Great.
Let's say somebody wants to, I don't know, create pens, right? Pens. So, like, what should be that person's thought process on how to, launch that idea? What some of the key points that person should be thinking about strategically?
Well, first, I mean, a pen is a pen. Like if you go to Mont Blanc or you go to like Sharpie, it's the same thing. What you're building, it depends on your price point and what you want to do, right? Like price point defines lifestyle and branding, right? So say when I first start off, I'm testing it like, the classic, how do you sell a pen? Put it in your hand. Do you like it? Take it away. Fair loss. Like we all know this stuff, right? So if I'm looking at a pen company, the first thing I'm thinking about is the feeling that I want to provide, right? Like when you buy my pen, how do you feel? And the name too. Like the name says a lot about something, right? Like, do you want to make this pen like a verb? Like Google? Like Googling became a verb. Like it literally, like it became a verb. Like DM, like direct messaging became a verb.
Facebook it.
You understand where I'm at? Like snap me. Like, so if I'm branding, let's just say a pen, I'm thinking about the name, I'm thinking about the look, and I'm thinking about price point, because that'll kind of signify and point me to the lifestyle. Like if it's a $9 pen, okay, I'm gonna put up some videos of people using it, influencer marketing, make sure I got a presence. But price point to me is a great indicator of the level of marketing, right? For me,
and even like who your audience is.
Your audience as well, because price point is your audience, right? Like, I mean, I know for me, I'm not buying a $200-300 pen, even if I got money or not. So I know a high-end pen or a yacht is another one, is a specific audience.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, the design, the look, the name, my digital presence online, and then price point will tell your audience. It will, right off the bat.
And even like how you describe your product.
Absolutely.
You want to use the same type of words that your audience tends to use.
Yeah. Rephrasing. Like I was talking to Jess about, I sent her something about rephrasing. Like, you're not writing, you're doodling. Like certain words appeal to a kid, a mom. Like it's research is the same thing as fact checking. Right, but research is a little more mainstream. Fact checking is more business and finance, right? Like it's synonyms, right? Like this is not a pen. This is like a weapon, of like a pen and a tool of lexicon and diction and writing, and an author's best friend is still a pen.
Magic creation.
Yeah, like so, like.
History maker.
Yeah, this is a history. Like this is the ink. Like it's just use your synonyms and positioning, right? And then when you said position in the market, there's thought leadership too. Like, are you writing about this topic? Do you speak about this topic? Like before you even put it out at a pen, were you working at a few pen manufacturers? Because credibility is big too, right? Like I will buy from somebody that's actually of that lifestyle. Like I'm going to buy the third book because he wrote 2 already. I'm going to book him for an event because he spoke at 55 speaking engagements prior to this.
Or maybe you're not that person who has that credibility, but you partner with somebody who does.
Influencer marketing.
You know, and maybe that person doesn't have an actual pen to sell, and you're like, yo, I already got the design, like, let's work on this together.
Collaborative marketing.
And make it happen that way, too. You know? Using other people's resources.
That's it.
You know,
and there's nothing wrong with that, too. I think, you know, we're in this age where people are too cool for their goals, and sometimes they won't reach out to people because it's like the fear of no. But be straightforward with people. I've gotten opportunities because I didn't beat around the bush. Like, I'm reaching out to you because I know you're doing this. Do you need help in this? Like, I get DMs. I would respect somebody that's like, I want to collaborate with you because you got a large convertible following. Versus trying to get to know me, and then 4 or 5 months later, it's like, were you a friend or a business associate, right? Or was you like a one-time temporary contractor? So when it comes to collaborative marketing, be straightforward, like everybody else with you. Like, a car dealership is like, buy the car for the experience. They're not saying, come through the door and have dinner
Take
first.
a seat.
And you know, nothing to do with the car. Yeah. Like, come in and we have a party going on. And then you think you're a part of the community and dope where you trying to just sell me something. That's trash to me. Like, that's different from a funnel. A funnel, you know where you going. Like, but don't switch bait. It's like switch bait. Don't do that in marketing. You know, like, don't have a picture up and then your caption different.
It's like somebody watching this podcast, but never mind. I was gonna say, like, I don't know, or let's say I'm advertising it as this is a free podcast, but out of nowhere it's like
you gotta pay for it.
You gotta pay for it to keep watching the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it exposes like the grand truth of what you're trying to find out.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But not for you.
No, I'm with you, man. And you just got to keep pushing, man. You have to. And if you simplify things, you'll be A-okay. Like, everyone wants to complicate, and everybody wants to create new things where there's people that has a dream life you want, and they just added something to something that was already around.
Yeah, it reminds me of like something Jim Rohn says. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Jim Rohn. I know he passed
the GOAT. The GOAT. Yeah, he's the truth.
I'll call him Papa Jim Rohn. I call him Grandpa. You know what I mean?
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah. But he talks about if you have like a big goal, break it down.
That's it.
Break it down to small steps and knock out those small steps. Keep that big vision in mind.
Perfect. Oh, I want to make 5,000 or 30 days in a month. I want to make 3,000. That's $100 a day. Like, focus on that first, and then that 3,000 will lead you into 36 grand in 1 month, right? And just focus on the micro, and then the macro will come because it's compounding. Compounding efforts, it just works like that. Like, be good with one client first before you try to, but I know if I get 20 clients. Like, be amazing with one client. Have them give you referrals and just baby steps, right? And, like, with your body. Like, I know in order for me to have a great body, or in order for me to run a marathon, I got to at least run 1, 2, 3 miles a day first. Like, I'm not just going to skip and go into it and then beat myself up.
So it reminds me of, I had a conversation with my boys yesterday. Mm-hmm. He's dope at audiovisual. Like, that's what he's passionate about.
Dope.
This kid has a movie theater in his apartment. I'm not talking about like a regular, like, shout out to Starlin if you watch it. He has like an actual, like, it's mind blowing. Like, it's a dead ass movie theater. Like, he has this, like, he's investing tens of thousands of dollars into making it happen.
That's fire. That's dope.
It's like, I'd rather go to his place than go to movies to watch a movie. That's how crazy it is. But, he wants to start his own business doing that, and, like, he feels like it's so hard. Because he works in that now. So he sees his boss, he's like, yo, my boss is always so stressed, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, yo, stop thinking of it that way.
Yeah, you're your own person.
Yeah, exactly.
You create, like, it's like, because somebody else is struggling through that. Like, just imagine if I had that mindset, right? Like, because I'm from the projects, because I'm from, like, I'm never going to be successful, right? Like, you already made an investment, and not knowing that you could probably surpass that person. So does your boss have a passion for it anymore? Does he love it? Did he just go into it because it was a family business passed down? You don't know people's situation. Like, just because somebody's struggling in the industry don't mean you cannot be successful in that industry.
Yeah.
Right? And humans' goal eventually is just to be free, like freedom. Right? And nowadays, especially we live in a capitalistic country, freedom comes from financial independence, financial freedom. That's just what it is. Right? Like, you need certain systems around you to get you where you need to be. Right? And then human beings by nature, we're scavengers and hunters. Like, we're not meant to just sit down for 12 hours. That's not what we are supposed to be doing. We've been corporatized over the last 200, 250 years. But think about your best nature. When are you most happy? On the weekends when you're free? Or when you're doing something you really love and you're able to make money? Or when you wake up and do the things with the people you love, when you want to do it, how you want to do it.
Man, my mom went to the club. Let me stop.
That's a fact. But you're thinking about joy, right? And nowadays, you can make money from your joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can make money from just smiling at every pic.
About that, what are your thoughts on pursuing a passion versus pursuing practicality and... Yeah. Passion versus practicality. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think they're separate. Like, you could be practical with your passion. You can monetize your passion.
I agree.
I feel like we have this thing where it's like passion means you don't make no money. It's just straight creative. Like, I'm passionate about speaking and writing. So, hey, my passion is speaking and writing. I can pitch myself to speak for people and get paid, or I can write a book or monetize a blog or affiliate marketing, right? And what people do is like either or. It's like, practical doesn't mean it's unfun. Like, it's not fun. You get me? Like, practical can be fun.
Yeah.
Because it reaps the most reward.
You can have a dream and be practical about it. About how to achieve it.
Yeah. Like, for me, like, entrepreneurship is that. You have to be practical about your passion and your dreams. Right? And what we do is we have this black and white binary, like, mindset about everything. Like, good, bad, black or white. Like, there's no mixture. Like, things mix, you know? Like, you could be creative and make money from your creativity, right? And we do that to not only ourselves, but to our kids, our family. It's like, you're too young to do, like, be practical. Like, finance, law, da-da-da-da. And then you sitting there in a whole bunch of debt. Or you love law at one point, but now you're judging. Now you're putting people in jail that you look like you, or you get me. Now you lose love for something, and then you got the little kid just opening stuff on YouTube, making $8 million. Little 6-year-old making $7.5 million in 1 year, and he's 6.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's just opening, unboxing. Like, you get, like, that's literally, I'm sorry, passion. I just got passionate right now. That's passion. I'm passionate about speaking and writing, and I make money from it.
So, speaking about debt, right? Let's talk about education and
financial literacy,
or just even the education system, like at its current state. And yeah, what are your thoughts on? Like, I watched the second episode. I finished watching the second episode today of about the Central Park 5.
Oh man, When They See Us, that's incredible. Ava DuVernay, God bless you. Shout outs to the Exonerated 5. I actually grew up in Harlem on 116th between 7th and St. Nicholas, and that happened probably less than a mile away from me. And I was born April 4th, 1989, and that happened like the 16th or the 19th. So that happened 2 weeks after I was born. So, like, that could have been me if I was a little bit older, right? So, shout outs to that, but keep going. Yeah,
so while I'm, like, tangling all these different things into one, is like, obviously, that was tough to watch.
And you only had 2.
I only had 2.
Oh,
but, but you know, it gives, I think it connects with education and just how our society is structured right now.
But it's based on education on everybody, right? Because education in a school system, like, I didn't learn about Juneteenth in school. Like, a lot of this education system it places a lot of not only limitations, it also births great people that we know, right? But if you look at the Industrial Revolution, if you look at the people who shaped America, what we know now, the Industrial Revolution, oil, technology, like a lot of these people don't finish high school or even go to college, right? So that's a nuance right there. But when it comes to education, it can fail us in being open. And just because you're formally educated doesn't mean you're not ignorant, right? And what we say when somebody's ignorant is like, oh, you didn't go to school, where a lot of these prejudices or limitations on potential and growth come from the educational system, right? Because in order to be successful in entrepreneurship, like, you got to be a fanatic. You got to be all over the place sometimes. It's systematized, it's practical, but you got to think outside the box, right? So when it comes to prejudices or education reform, or even a lack of resources in underserved communities, which are usually black and brown, like, the proof is in the pudding. It's out there now. It still doesn't, even if they had a good school in a black and brown neighborhood, does that protect them from the prejudices, the systematic stuff that happens that's already in place? I'm educated, right? And just imagine me. I have a kid. I've done everything right. Never served time, no felonies, right? I'm a great dad. I'm not in billions of dollars of debt, right? And I'm driving in a car exercising my right because I know the law. And if you see me, am I a threat? Right? So I don't want to make this about race, right? Because we could go on that forever. But going back to formal education, right? The lack of formal and informal education could hurt people. Because informally, we learn about stocks. We don't learn about that in school. Informally, we learn about real estate and wealth generation. You don't learn that in college. You don't learn formal, right? So I think we have a responsibility to educate people.
Yeah, I mean, so something I'm looking to do with actually this platform long term is to, like, I would love to see more financial education, entrepreneurship
Absolutely.
education, and personal development, like these three topics in our education system.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, literally in the curriculum, or at least for starters in a massive or wide after school program or something. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like
it's the only way we're going to compete is
and get resources, right? And build that influence in order to, for all of these things like the Central Park 5 to not continue to happen. You know, and tap into a lesson.
Yeah, because if they had lawyers, it would have been different.
Yeah,
it did have lawyers, but if they had, it was just racism. Like, that's a whole nother
even the basic knowledge to, like, shut up until your lawyer gets there.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying.
So
like,
that's
even,
informal.
Even just that,
like, you don't learn that in school. You don't learn, like, criminal law or how to deal with police in school. That's informal. That's kind of responsibility for parents in the community.
Yeah.
Like, when you meet a cop, don't say nothing. Just abide. Don't say nothing until your lawyer come or I come. Right? Like, don't fight. Don't do none of that. Right? Like, literally. But then you got cases where people, Philando, Castell, like, you got people who do abide by the law and still get shot. So it's a gray area. But what I feel is the solution is not only informal or formal education, but it has to be a respect for black people, period, from everybody, right? Like, when you see black people, you like, I respect them, because that comes from disrespect and ignorance. That's what that comes from. And their needs, as we keep building, I feel we getting there, we need powers around us, like broad representation. Like, oh man, I know if I touch this black kid, these group of lawyers is going to ring us. And then we need representation within the judicial system. Like, I'm representing these people. No. I know it's wrong, it's corrupt. I need to know all the facts before I just hear two judges and an attorney general just present the facts. I need to really, really dive into it and do my research too before saying guilty or not guilty, or relaying it on a jury.
And I think a lot of that starts with the financials.
Yeah.
It may not. The financials, the education, obviously all that is part of it. Like, we live in New York City. I'm in the Bronx. You from the Bronx, Harlem, all of that. I know you live in Queens now,
Yeah.
but like, gentrification, right? It's like instead of like getting forced out of your own community that you lived in your whole life or something like that, you could maybe own a piece of that property.
But that's our education.
Yeah.
Like we literally gentrification definitively just means coming in, making it more appeal to middle class or upper class people. That's the definition. But what we've seen, usually the people that's lower class is black and brown, right? So what's happening is what we did wrong as our people, and let's take responsibility because it's going to happen with or without us, right? We needed to, if you're going, like my man that's in the hood dealing drugs and wilding out, like at some point somebody needed to go legit or something needed to be happening. You understand? Like, and then you mad at the fact that it's rehabilitated, right? But then it's also my quarrel with gentrification is it sucks out culture, right? It becomes very commercialized. Like I was raised in Harlem, Marcus, Garvey Park, you had every Sunday drums, and then it's getting too loud. Now there goes African culture. No more barbecues, no more cookouts till 4:00 in the morning. Like the culture, no more loud music. Like that's Harlem. Like before anything, Harlem was thriving off of suits and music and jazz, and it had illegal things going on like every other neighborhood. Like so, like I just felt we should have owned like if we was gonna do illegal things, and there was a lot of money in Harlem legitimately, we should have just been buying up blocks. Like some black business should have been like, I'm buying all of Harlem, and then no, that's it. Like I'm dispersing it amongst my people. Like somebody should have did that.
Yeah, and then you go to the
Heights.
to the Heights. Dykeman, the same thing happened.
LES, everything.
Yeah, but then it's like, and then you got the history of like Black Wall Street. Jay Morrison.
Yes, I do. I'm very familiar. Very familiar. Yes.
Let's talk about the future. What are your thoughts on the future for yourself, and what do you see the future looking like for everything out here?
So I see. So what I'm gonna do now, my next book is gonna come out when I'm 40, because I released 3 books in less than 6 years. So that was like my testimony from the teenage me, the new dad me, and then also now at 30. Here's a little big successes that I have. So book-wise, I'm not writing something until I'm 40. I want to dedicate this next 10 years towards really scaling and building my wealth and not focusing on writing so much. It's a lot. Like writing a book is a lot of energy. So I'm stepping away from that. I'm going to do more with greater. So branding, speaking, and investing, and also aligning myself with a lot of politicians who represent our communities to introduce an educational reform package that includes STEM plus financial literacy plus entrepreneurship towards not only for our people, like that's my dedication to my people, while I still become wealthy and build.
About this education reform package, I know you were speaking to me a little bit about this before this, but can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I've partnered not only with CUNY, but also the Department of Education in New York's Department of Education, to where we go in and do entrepreneur workshops, right? And also outside of that, the informal education, because I'm not only looking at formal education and reform, it's also the reformative action towards informal education. So now informing people outside of school, parents, older people, aspiring entrepreneurs on practical steps. Like, I have a how to write a book and market a book workshop. Like that's education reform, right? And then going into the school system, we're showing that you could be somebody of the neighborhood and be successful in practical steps. Like I partner with WEDCO, which is the Women Housing Economic Development Organization, where I was with 5th graders and they was writing, and then it was like an avenue for them to publish their own book and have a stream of income. Like before you go to 6th grade, like it's unheard of. So I'm big on entrepreneurship. I feel everybody has the capacity to be it. It's just reforming the education on what entrepreneurship is, because there's levels and you could be a part of a bigger system and monetize your skill set and still be an entrepreneur. You don't have to take all the risk. You could just oh, I'm an accountant, I'm outsourcing my accountancy to my neighborhood. Boom, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm excited, brother.
Yeah, I wanna know more about that
Yeah.
and get involved in that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock arms with a gent of mine, Mr. Kevin Riley, who's actually from Northeast Bronx. He's running for councilman, so I'm gonna be aligning with a lot of his efforts with stop the violence, educational reform, and you will see me very closely in the political and brand and digital education space for sure. Mm-hmm.
You ever see yourself in running for politics?
No, who knows?
Legislator?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I like the behind the scenes a little bit. I like where I stand, and I also want to build and have a cash pool of money before I run for something like that, for sure. Like, I just don't want to be. The reason I didn't win was because money. We could have did more marketing. Like, I want to become a multi-millionaire and then run and be of the people and really, really engulf myself with my neighborhood before I'm like, I want to represent you and I don't even know what's going on with the people, or have to really scavenge and hunt for bread. Like, oh, let me make my millions, commit to my people even more to a certain community, and then just go from there, make it happen.
I remember
Big goals.
It's possible, bro.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Let's get these millions.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And influenced all these legislations.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what has to happen, right?
Let's do it.
I have a quick story before I move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was actually working for the New York State Assembly, right, at Albany as an intern a few years ago, right?
Okay.
And it was crazy. It actually turned me off from the world of politics a little bit because literally my first week there, the legislator that I got assigned to work for disappeared. So he ended up being an undercover FBI agent. Ended up getting a whole bunch of different other legislators, and everything was on the news. I'm like, I got changed to a whole nother person.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, what? I was like, yo, I thought this only happens on TV.
Yeah, on Scandals.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, but at the end of the day, like, the work that they do is like, it affects so many people and it's so important. And the fact that it's unfortunate how few people are actually involved in the political process and how much weight they have and how much resources they have.
Like, just a bunch of dudes going to the bar, women or sitting and really beating each other up, going back and forth, trying to, oh, my opinion, your opinion, when it's just simplicity, right? I think if we simplify things, we'd be okay. So
let's maybe start wrapping this up. What is your number one book that you recommend to people?
Well, I'm gonna plug all three of my books. So this is my third book, Sloth 30. I also have Guidance, 33 Areas of Importance, and I have Dinner Places pot covers. But outside of those three, which you should get, I would probably recommend, from a cultural standpoint, as a young person of color, Reginald F. Lewis did Why Does White Guys Have to Have All the Fun? And then there's also Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and Think and Grow Rich. And Dale Carnegie has How to Win and Influence Friends. I think my three books plus those four, I think you'd be off to the races. And also Benjamin Graham's The Intelligent Investor as well.
That one's real technical. What audiobooks or actual books?
Actual books.
Okay, and what's the number one lesson that you feel you've learned within the past year?
You can't take education out of life's equation.
Life's equation.
I think a lot of people aren't educating themselves, and they're wondering why they are where they are.
Okay.
They're not learning from themselves, and that's probably something I'll tell my younger self. But also, as I go forward, I've said that to my daughter too. You need to be educated or informed on something as you go through life. Be informed with your body, what you're going through, the laws, politics, money, school. Don't just do something just to do it, and then you keep slamming your head against the floor. If you want to be great at something, become educated. Just know something about it, right? Because you're going to become an expert through experience, but don't take any type of education out of life's equation. Boom. Okay. That's it right there.
Bro, Castell, bro, thank you
This is love, bro.
for coming on. You already know.
It's love, it's love. Yo, thanks for having me, and thank you for getting the book, man. I appreciate you. I gotta autograph it too, man. Let's do it.
Oh, you're right.
I'm gonna do that right now.
It's gonna be worth like $1 billion.
Yo, listen, brother, listen. So this is gonna be dope. Some B-roll I'm actually writing, so this should be dope. Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share.
Yes.
You already know all of that. Show that love.
Let's do it. Appreciate you, man.
Deuces.
That was dope.